Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a detailed look at a Cantek's double-sided planer. This is by far my favorite machine here in the shop. This is the first truly industrial sized machine I've ever owned. So this machine measures 105 inches long, 46 inches wide, and 86 inches tall. It features 3 motors, so it has a lower cutter head, which is a 20 horsepower, has a 25 horsepower upper cutter head, and then a 5 horsepower feed motor. The power it requires is 460 volt, 3-phase at 100 amps. So our power that we have here at the shop is 240 volt, 3-phase, which then gets fed into a fairly substantial transformer here that steps it up to the 460 volt, 3-phase that we need, which then goes to a disconnect, which is at 100 amps at 460 volts, which then gets fed over into the machine. And then from that disconnect is fed into our hardwired line into our control panel here on the side of the machine, which is then fed through the machine from our control panel. So from here we're able to raise and lower the machine electronically, and we can turn on our lower cutter head, upper cutter head, and then our carpet feed drive, which is what kind of makes this machine unique from other planers, is that this features a spring-loaded drive system in the front of the machine, so that it'll feed through the joiner section of the machine. So under here there's a whole bunch of spring-loaded pins. So these pins here are actually what feed it through the machine, and these pins move up and down to allow that board that's fed through, if it has any cup or twist to it, it's allowed it to feed it through smoothly, kind of mimicking how you would use a joiner. So then the next system that works in conjunction with those fingers is this has the ability to lower this front section of bed just like a joiner would. So it runs on a dovetailed angled keyway with a hand wheel here that you can crank. So this is just in millimeters, which as you crank this handle, hopefully you can see that that front of that machine, or the front of that bed, lowers down. And that acts as a joiner. As those fingers pull the material across, it creates a smooth flat bottom on the bottom of your board, and then it passes on through and hits your top cutter head. This has a capacity of a 1/4 inch per pass on both heads, so you're able to take a 1/2 inch of material off in one pass. It is all controlled from a variable speed feed that controls the feed of the carpet, as well as 2 lower rollers in the bottom of the bed, and then there's one, it might be kind of hard to see, there's one rubber roller on the top of the machine that also pulls your board through. This has a speed of 26 feet per minute to 80 feet per minute, so it's pretty fast, and you kind of have to jog back to the back if you want to catch boards off the end. It also features a automatic lubricator for the chain drive on the top. So this machine, as soon as the conveyor belt turns on, it pumps oil through these little lines up here on the top. I don't know if you can kind of see those right there, and then down on both sides that drop oil onto the chain drive in the front to keep that well lubricated. And you also have a manual one on the bottom here, so every time you pull this lever down like that, it pumps oil through all the lines, and it lubricates all the dovetailed ways that the machine goes up and down on, and keeps everything lubricated on that as well. So I went ahead and opened up some of the guards so we could see inside the machine a little better. So right down here is the lower cutter head, pulley, and motor. So the motor sits down underneath the machine, down in there, and then it's powered by 5 V-belts, and then so's the top cutter head. We'll show you that on the other side. So this other guard covers up the conveyor belt system. So it's run off of a oil bathed reducer off that 5-horse motor, and it comes back into this system. So this has the top of the machine is actually what goes up and down. So it has to have a spring-loaded arm down on the bottom down here to allow it to take up the slack as this goes from about 3/8 of an inch thick is its minimum it'll cut up to 8 inches thick. So it has to be able to adjust and keep tension on the chain. And all of this drives the lower speed rollers down here and over there, and this one drives the upper rubber roller. And then this bigger sprocket here is what drives all the caterpillar chain underneath the front of the machine. This machine does also feature 2 6-inch dust ports. So there's one right below this guard at the bottom, or at the center of the machine, and then there's one up at the top at the back that takes care of the upper cutter head. And we have them all fed into a 10-inch pipe that takes it back to our dust collector. So I think right now what we're going to do is this lower cutter head has the ability to slide out the other side. So on this side there's the belt tension, and we have to take off this big 30mm bolt here, and then we have to do some stuff on the other side, and then this whole piece will slide out. So we're going to go ahead and show you that right now. Then we got another bolt on this side we'll go ahead and take out. Then you may have noticed this big casting on the side of the machine and wondered, what's that thing for? Well, that is what swings over. I'll tighten that back up. And that's what this cutter head slides out on. So it has 96 replaceable inserts, carbide inserts. They're double-sided. So if you chip one or hit a nail or anything, that hard knot that breaks one, you can flip it around and use the other side. And you can easily replace one at a time that way, which makes it nice for stuff you shouldn't hit. And as you can see, it does roll really nice. So now we'll go ahead and slide this back in and get it all buttoned back up, and we'll go ahead and make some cuts with it and show you how this thing works. So we found a chunk of wood here that I think will demonstrate what we're trying to show off for that machine. So as you can see, this has a fair amount of rock to it, so it's twisted, and then it's raised up in the center here, so it has a little bit of bow to it. So we'll go ahead and run this through the machine and see what it does. So the elevation of this machine is done by this control panel here. It has a power feed, so there's a 1/2 horse motor down on the floor here, which runs a chain drive through all the lead screws on all 4 corners. So we can go ahead and you can manually adjust it. So you can either push down or up and do it that way, or you can hit set. And then I know this board that we're going to do for you is 5 3/8. And then you hit the green button and it'll auto do it. Okay, now that we got that all set, we're gonna go ahead and turn this on. Now we are running this machine without a guard over this cutter head so that we can try to get a camera in there and show you what's happening in there. So normally that wouldn't be open like that. But we'll go ahead and get this started and start with your bottom cutter head, and it has a soft start feature. So when you push the button, it doesn't bang on. It slowly comes up to speed. So we were set up to take about 3/16 off the bottom of that, and then about an 1/8 inch off the top. And as you can see, we got rid of all that twist and the cup and the bow. So that's fitting pretty good against the table there. So I know you guys really want to see something that thing is capable of doing. So we have a slab over here that we're gonna run through, and I think about the max that machine will take, and let's see what it can do. We have this walnut slab here that's about 3 inches thick and 21 inches wide at the ends here. So we'll go ahead and feed this through. We got it, we'll have to set it up here, but set the height. We'll go 2.55. And then I will be running this at about 1/4 inch on the bottom head. So if you see right there, now that is in millimeters. So that equals about 1/4 inch. And we'll take 1/4 inch off the top. And I do have it, well, I'll feed it at the slowest it'll go, just so you can kind of see a little easier what this thing does. Go ahead and get it fired up. I really like the way that thing sounds. So as you can see around this knot and whatnot, boy, it sure left a real nice finish on the board. There's no tear out. It's real nice and smooth. And it's nice and flat and level now. So that was taking a 1/16 of an inch off of each side of that board. And I'm not sure, but I doubt the needles, I doubt you could see on there that that was doing much. So that's about half of what it's capable of doing. So the only other thing that I was wanting to show you was to go ahead and show this at full speed feed of just how fast this thing will run through boards. So hopefully you enjoyed getting to see this Cantek's planer in action today. Stay tuned for more videos about the tools I use in the shop, and we'll see you on the next one.